Hi, hello, welcome back to yet another series of Azure. So today I'm going to show you how you can deploy your static web applications to Azure Static Web Apps. A static web application is an application that is lightweight and is made up of majorly JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. This is an application that doesn't require a backend or an API for it to function. Also, the content of a static web application usually doesn't change. Now, to deploy an application to Azure Static Web Application, you will need to have GitHub, and your code should be hosted on GitHub. You will need to have an Azure subscription, and then you need to have an editor where you might need to install the extension for deploying Azure resources. So join me and let me show you how that is done in a simple step-by-step procedure. Now, Azure Static Web Apps deployment. This is what we are talking about today, and before we move to the actual deployment, let us first understand why is it of benefit to use Azure Static Web App to deploy your static applications. First, the productivity from local development to GitHub native workflows for CI/CD. Remember, I told you CI/CD is what will enable you to integrate a continuous deployment and continuous integration, which means if you make any change to your application, it will be deployed automatically to your live environment. And then also with the Azure Static Web Applications, you have managed global availability for static content. Also, you can dynamically scale for serverless APIs. You also have streamlined management, including custom domain configurations and authentication and authorization. You also have seamless developer experience and CI/CD, what we've mentioned in our first benefit. And also, you'll just have a tailored developer experience that includes Visual Studio Code extension. So that is it. Those are the benefits of using Azure Static Web Apps for deployment. Now, before you do anything, we have prerequisites that has to be fulfilled. First, you need to have Node.js, long-term support, and Git installed in your computer. So let's confirm this in our machine to ensure that we have all this installed. So I'll open up my terminal, and then to confirm the Node version, just type Node. Let's confirm if you have a Node. Sure, we have Node installed. Also Git. You also have Git installed. So if you don't have Node and Git, just check. I have a video about this. Check on my channel, and you will be able to follow up to install Git and Node. And then you also need a GitHub account. So ensure you have a GitHub account, because here is where you are going to push your code to a remote repository, because it is through that the workflow for CI/CD will be built. And then of course you need a Visual Studio Code, which is your IDE. Here I have my Visual Studio Code. Now I want to make it very clear that the Azure Static Web Application can be used to deploy any static application, be it an application made up of the vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or frameworks such as Vue or React. So the method I'm going to show you today can be used in either Vue or React or HTML and pure CSS and JavaScript. Yeah, so in this sample application, I have what we call a Vue application that I've just built for the purpose of demo. So this is a simple static web application that is built on Vue, and to run it, I'll just type npm run dev. So this should start my server, and then we can preview what we've built on our browser. So let's check that. Let's check and ensure that it's running. I'll close this because we no longer need it. I'll also close my terminal. We no longer need it. And let's only have our VS Code. So it's up and running on localhost port 5173. So I'll control click on this to open it on the browser. Fantastic. So this is the application that we have. This is a static application that has no backend, has no API. Everything here is static and doesn't change. So we simply have the app skill title there, and then I have some links that you can use to learn Python, Azure Static Web Apps, and also Azure DevOps from Microsoft Learn. And also I have some link to my YouTube videos that also explain how to deploy API, not API, to Azure, and also to integrate MongoDB to an Express application. So this is the sample application that we're going to have. It has no any other page. Fantastic. So once we have our application built like this sample application, you want to ensure that your application is pushed to GitHub. So we will check git status. So then also git remote version to confirm if it's actually on our GitHub repo. So right here, I have it on my GitHub repository. So let's go to my GitHub. Let's go to my GitHub and confirm that we have it here. So coming here, we have my repository here. Yeah, this is the repo containing my code. And you can see it has all the files and even the recent change I pushed like 21 minutes ago. We also need to ensure that you have an Azure subscription, an active one. So coming back to my Azure portal, I have an active subscription here with 116 credits. If you don't have an active Azure subscription, you can check for the link in my description to help you create one for free. And also if you're a student, you can actually create your free account for students. So the next thing you want to ensure, I'm going to show you two ways of deploying this application. One is from your IDE, that is VS Code, and secondly, how to deploy it directly from the portal. But we are going to start with the deployment from our VS Code. So you want to ensure that you have an extension installed here. The extension that we're going to install here is Azure Static Web App. So we have to install that extension. Ensure that you have it installed. So let's check. So here it is, Azure Static Web Apps. So as you can see, mine is installed already. And if I come here, you see I have Azure here. So if I click on that, that should give me like I should be able to see all the extensions I have for my Azure. So the next thing you want to do is you want to log into your Azure account. How are you going to do that? You are going to open your command palette by pressing Ctrl Shift and P. Then just type Azure : sign in. Of course, it will come up as the first result. Click on that and then allow. Then click on your subscription or your account. I mean your account. In this case, I will click on my ambassador account, that is Omolo, that, and then wait for it to sign in. So you will see the progress right here. So I am signed in, and when I'm signed in, I'll be able to see the active subscriptions that I have in my account. So in this case, I have Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. So you want to expand on that, or rather, expand. And then because we have the extension for Static Web Apps installed, locate it here. Here it is. Then you want to ensure that you right click and then click on Create Static Web App. So once you do that, it will request from you some once you do that, it will request from you some information that it will help the extension create it on your Azure portal. So as you can see here, we have entered the name of the new static web app. So I will call it Upskill. Yeah. And then press enter. Then select a region. In this case, I just want to choose the West Europe. Then choose the build preset to configure default project structure. In this case, I told you our sample project is a Vue.js application, so click on Vue.js. But if you have React, click on React. If you have Servlet, click on Servlet. So it all depends on your sample application. So I'll click on Vue.js. And then enter the allocation of your application code. Now here, for example, if I am actually doing a deployment from my root directory, I'll leave it the way it is because it's the root. But if my product structure has a number of folders where we have the front end and back end, or the API and databases, you have to specify that here. But in this case, I'm in the root, so I'll just leave it that way. Press enter. And then now enter the location of your build output relative to your applet's location. So since my project is in the root and my build will be in the dist folder, I'll just need to type directly the dist folder there because all the build assets will be stored in the dist folder. Then press enter. So coming down here, you will see that we have now a process going on here where it's creating the actual application on Azure. So you can see it's ongoing, and once it's done, you'll be able to see that it's deployed. It will give you a tick. So let's wait for that and see. So you can see here it's executing a git pull, right? So it's a process that is going on, and it's done actually. So you see it's already marked with a green checkbox, which means the deployment is actually complete. So you can expand on that and then see that it's complete. Now coming back to our left side panel, you can see that when we now try to expand on static web applications here, now here you'll be able to see all the static web apps that you have in your portal. Now in this case, remember we deployed and named our application Upskill. So I should be able to see Upskill here, and of course here it is. So if I expand on this, I should be able to see like the resources that have been deployed during the deployment. In the meantime, you can also right click and click on browse site. Now, do you want code to open the external website? Of course, I want it to open. Let's see. Congratulations on your new site. So my site is already there, but the deployment is still going on. So for us to confirm that, when we come back here, we should be able to see that our application has been deployed. So let me just check. So right here we have the production. Click on that. And then we have the actions. You can see actually the GitHub actions that have been created during deployment. What else can we see? Let it load. Yeah, you can see it's right here. So this is the latest one. So once we are there, let's go back again to our browser and refresh. Fantastic. Now you see that our application has been deployed to Static Web Apps on Azure. Very simple. So as you can see here, it's the same application that I had on my local host. If I come back to the localhost tab, you see localhost 5173, and now since it is deployed, I have a unique URL that is generated for me during the deployment. So that is first step on the deployment of static web applications. And of course, if I come back to my portal and then I click on static web apps, I should be able to see the recent deployment. Of course, it's here. You can see we have Upskill right here. Now that is the first method. Second method is deploying this application from the portal. So we will have to delete this one and then make a new deployment. So how do we do that? Since we had used VS Code for our deployment, I want us to again use VS Code for deletion. So come here and let's find out our resource. It's named Upskill. So right click and then click on delete. Of course, you have to confirm to avoid accidental deletion. Click on delete. So that should delete all the resources that were provisioned during the deployment of this static application. So give it time, and then if you go back to the browser, once it's done, we should be able to see that we no longer have Upskill as a web app on our portal. Yeah, so let's give it time to do that. Let us give it time. And of course, also once it's deleted, this same URL shouldn't be able to like render what we have here now. It should be broken or maybe a 404. So we just have to wait for the deletion to complete, and then we can confirm that. And then I show you the second method of deploying static web applications, but now from the portal. So that is deleting. Fantastic. Now you see it is complete. since we have the green checkbox here telling us that the deletion of that resource is complete. Now, you see from here, from our static applications here, we no longer have upskill. So let's go back to our browser and also confirm. If we refresh, what do we have? We have 404 not found. Fantastic. If you go back to our Azure portal and refresh, upskill should be missing. So let's refresh and see. Let us refresh and see to ensure that everything is great and working as expected. Fantastic. Now we don't have the upskill web app here. Now, what we want to do now is to go to the second step or the second method of deploying static web applications. So just coming back here again, what we want to do, you just want to either click on static web apps, or you can either search from the search bar here, static web apps. And then once you have the results, click on that. And then also you want to ensure that you click on create. So click on create will give you like a multi-step form that will help you to provide the details here now. Now you have to choose the subscription. Of course, mine is Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. And the resource group, I love the portfolio, but if you don't have any resource group yet, you can create one. So the name of the static web app, I'll name it now Upskill 2. And then just need a free hobby because there's no much traffic that I'll expect here. And then regions, it's global actually. And then the deployment details, I want to deploy from GitHub. So if you don't have your account signed in, you need to sign in from here. Of course, I'm signed in as Osego Tech. Coming down, you want to click on your organization. So click the organization where you are. Your code is stored in GitHub. So mine is still Osego Tech. And then the repository, you have to search it from here. So just type code and zip. Fantastic. Now you'll type your own repo name there. And then the target branch is main, of course. And wow, fantastic. This is a new feature that I hadn't seen before. So right now it detects for you the language or the framework that you are using. So in this case, it's Vue.js. It has already pre-populated that there. And then app location is home. API location, we have an API, and the output location, which is the build location, is dist. Remember what we did earlier in the command palette? Fantastic. So once this is done, just click on review and create. Review and create. And then you give it time for the Azure portal to do its thing. Fantastic. So once everything is validated, you'll be able to now click on create. Now it has initialized a deployment, and we have to wait for the deployment. Submitting deployment. Then what else? Let's see. We'll be able to see the progress here. Once it's complete, it will show here deployment complete. Fantastic. So our deployment is complete. So from here, you can just go to resource to take us to the overview page of our new web app. So from here, you can see the resource group, portfolio, the URL that you can use to now visit our application. The source is GitHub from the main branch, and it has created for us a workflow that will help us in ensuring that CI/CD is integrated. And then what else do we need here? Fantastic. So from here, we can just view our site, visit site. That should open what we call the live URL. As you can see, like the previous one, so it's deployed, but now the actual building is taking place. How do we tell this? Go back to your repository here and then click on actions. Fantastic. So in actions here, you can see that it's currently building. This has failed because this is the workflow that was created when we deployed using VS Code. But now our current workflow file is this one here. Now you can click on it to see how the build process is taking place. Now the build is complete, the deployment is complete. You can click on it to actually see all the details right there. So it set up the job, it built it, it ran the actions, then build and deploy, complete job. So coming back to this site that is now awaiting deployment, if we now refresh, we should be able to see the same site that we had seen before in our local host. Fantastic. So that's all about deploying a static web application to Azure Static Web Apps. Now, the method I've shown you here, I've used Vue.js as a sample application. This same procedure and method will work for React and will work for Vue. So if you have a React application, go ahead, try it, ensure that you have your applications deployed. If you don't have an active Azure account or an active subscription, check on the video description below. You will be able to find a link that will help you create a free account. And if you're a student, there's a link for Azure for Students. Ensure you create your Azure account and deploy your applications to Azure. Thank you guys. Bye. So thank you for watching. If you are new to this channel, subscribe for more content like this. Also share with your friends and comment. See you in the next episode of Azure. Osego Codes signing out.